Welcome to Anatomy of a Business, a discussion of the businesses that serve our community, focusing on their challenges and their successes. I'm Bud Meyers from the Virginia Breeze Broadcasting Company, and joining me today is Barry Moore, who is the CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Central Virginia. Barry, this program of the Help Desk, loving this. Tell us a little bit about it.
The Help Desk is for all accredited businesses, a unique program. There's 91 BBB CEOs like me around the country and Canada. I'm the only one doing this Help Desk as of right now, and I hope it carries forward. And what it is, Bud, is about 14 businesses. Maybe it's marketing, maybe it's how to hire people, whatever the case may be, second chance hiring, all those kind of programs. And you're one of them, have volunteered to be a consultant. And you'll handle one question, one point of business for the accredited business in 1 hour. So they get something out of it. They don't have to spend $10,000, $20,000 on consultants. But you always get around this anatomy of the business. You don't like talking about yourself, but I always do. Bud Meyers, Virginia Breeze has been one of the things when I retire and legacy, what I leave behind for all of our accredited businesses and makes us different and differentiates us is that we have the Virginia Breeze, an incredible program, but the anatomy of a business was your idea. And we're going to do a 30-minute conversation, business conversation. You're going to do most of it. I jump in, Jay, just so you know, and he'll introduce you. Obviously, you'll hear me say something, and I don't know what it'll be, but I always listen. But that's you, Bud Meyers, and we thank you very much.
Well, that's very nice of you.
Of course.
Thanks very much, Barry. So today is very different because most businesses that come in, sit across the desk, well, they're fairly new. They've been in business where they're just beginning to still establish themselves, branding themselves, and they have made their culture. But what about those businesses that have been in over 70 years? How do you step into a business like that? How do you grow? And what are your concerns? Today we get to talk about that. And we have the CEO, Jay Klebanoff of the Hercules Fence Company. And when I say fence, I think you're going to get a much broader understanding today when we talk about security, and that's security in every job. Jay, thanks for being here today.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Let's start it off at the beginning because I always like to do that. You're a Chapel Hill guy, aren't you?
Wow, yeah. That's some good research.
Tell me about that life.
Well, I didn't know that was going to go in that direction. I became a Tar Heel fan. I grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Became a Tar Heel fan back from the days of Phil Ford. And so when I had the opportunity to choose a grad school to get my MBA, I decided to go to Chapel Hill.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's from Philadelphia.
Well, at that time, I was living in D.C., Washington, D.C.
Okay.
But, I decided to travel to Chapel Hill and become a Tar Heel myself.
Something about those Southern girls.
It didn't hurt. That didn't hurt. But it was really, I'll tell you, it was 1983 to 85.
Uh-huh.
And Michael Jordan was in his last year. I think it was his junior year.
Yeah.
So, we'd see him there, hanging out on campus. He was a bit of a star, but not like he is today.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. It was a great MBA program. It was a great school. And it didn't hurt to be able to watch one of the top college basketball teams in the country during basketball season.
We have a lot of listeners, different ages, okay, because of the music that we play. What would you say to someone who hasn't made that decision to get an MBA or not? What advice or what would you say to them about making that decision?
Yeah, I think the world is different. I think that if you want to elevate your knowledge and skills, it's a quick way to do it. If you want to learn the vernacular of business, do case studies where you get to see what other business people did right and wrong. It's a great experience. The people that you go to school with are part of the experience. I went to school with some very smart people that I learned a lot from. And I think that if you can afford to do it and you have that opportunity in your life, you won't regret it. There's a lot of people in this day and age that they are able to train on the job and elevate themselves within their job, But for me, it was a great opportunity. So I definitely would promote it.
You stepped into Hercules in 1990 as CEO. What did you do prior to that?
Well, not quite as CEO right off the bat.
Okay, good. That's what I want to know.
So prior to that, I was a banker,
Okay.
and I was also a part-time sports writer.
Well, I love that.
Yeah, I wrote for a weekly publication in the Philadelphia area, and I was a banker at a bank called Continental Bank, and then went back to get my MBA. And after getting the MBA, I went to work for the Washington Post. So I was a big fan of newspapers. I applied to both sides of the paper. I got a job on the business side. I was there for 5 years, met my wife. My wife is from Norfolk, Virginia. Her father was an investor in a small fence company in Norfolk that really was the number one fence company in the area.
Right.
Didn't travel outside that area, but was the number one company in the area. Had some warts, and so it was kind of a turnaround situation, which for me, with an MBA, was a great opportunity. You know, I always wanted to do something more entrepreneurial. The Post was a great experience, but it's a huge company, and so this was a great opportunity to be able to dive into a business and that had some issues, that needed an upgrade in personnel. And it was a very challenging and very rewarding experience.
So your banking career, was that up north or was that down here?
Yes, that was in Philadelphia.
How did you adjust culturally to that? Did you see differences? Did you see a different way of business?
Moving to the South, you're saying?
Yeah.
No. There definitely is a Southern charm, and I think I've always been partial to the Virginia, North Carolina part of our country.
Mm-hmm.
Going to grad school in Chapel Hill reinforced that. But I think that, many aspects of business are the same. And, there's times where you have to stand up for yourself and take a stand. And that's true whether you're in the North or the South. But people are a little more genteel in the South. And so I don't say it was an adjustment, but it was a pleasure.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yep. So you, how did you adjust into the corporate culture? Your family was involved. You obviously knew of the business prior, but stepping in was still different. It was still something you had to adjust to. What kind of adjustments did you have to make stepping into something already so established?
Well, I knew that I needed to listen. I didn't have any kind of construction background, and so I knew it was important to listen. And we had some experienced people that that mentored me, and I asked a lot of questions, and little by little started making some changes in some things that I saw needed upgrading, and tried to establish a culture of caring about the people, showing them from the get-go that I was a listening person, that I cared about them. And
had there been a disconnect?
The person that I replaced was a little more remote, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the pulse of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in there, and it was really important to establish my credibility, to show that I was willing to do anything I was asking anybody in the company to do. And I worked in the field. I worked in the shop. I dug holes. I pounded posts. I mixed concrete. I unloaded trucks. I did all the things that I would ask any of them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped establish my credibility with them. And then, I tried to establish at the same time, as time went on, a culture of excellence, that we were going to set the bar high. And even though we care about you and we want to see you succeed, that if you can't get with the program, if you can't do the right thing when no one's looking, which is a motto that we hold to today, that you're not gonna make it here.
If you're trying to establish, let's say, a higher level of excellence, how do you get the buy-in from lower management? How do you make that happen with them?
You know, unfortunately, what happens is you get presented with opportunities. And by opportunities, I mean you get presented with people that challenge you. And they want to see, just like our children, they want to see how far they can push you. They want to see where the line really is. And you have to utilize those opportunities to show that you're not going to waver, that the excellence of the business, the ideals of the business are more important than any one individual. And I used to say to people who were challenging me too often that, business is war. And I need to know that I have people in the trench that are going to go to war with me. Mm-hmm. And I would tell people, in an instance where somebody was giving me a hard time, say, I don't feel that confidence in you. And if you, are not happy here, if you don't like the way that this business is going, then maybe it's not the place for you.
So there was fallout.
Yeah. We upgraded the personnel significantly. And, and then what I found is that over time, as you do that, then it's like any winning team. People want to be part of a winning team. And so as you start to change the culture and you become a winning team, then you start attracting better people. And it kind of, snowballs. And our staff, we have over 300 people now, and it's the best staff we've ever had. And we just have fantastic people. Our business is a commodity business. We don't have a unique widget that 5 other fence companies can't provide you. So it really comes down to the people. And we have wonderful people. I'm really proud of our staff.
In making the change, did you have to change policies at all?
Not so much change policies. Establish policies. Yeah, we established a way of doing business. We established a culture. We post our mission statement on the wall. Mm-hmm. We post our values on the wall. Everybody can see what they are. And we ask people to hold to that. And in exchange, we're kind, caring people. My personality is such that, I'm not a screamer. I don't like to have to get in people's faces. I do it if I'm pushed to that. But we try to establish a culture of winning, of excellence, and of caring. So those 3 things together.
I hope that rubs off on the Washington sports teams that you represent. The winning part, anyway.
Yeah, I think that those days of like the Vince Lombardis of the world and the Woody Hayeses, we're not in that time anymore. No. I think that people like Steve Kerr with the Golden State Warriors, you can tell that he's tough, but he's empathetic, and I think that's what athletes today, and I think that's what employees today are looking for.
Let's talk a little bit about again that business. You stepped into a 70-year-old business. So what kind of pressure did you have? This is a different kind of pressure than obviously starting off on your own. What kind of things immediately hit you?
Well, first of all, I stepped into a 35-year-old.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
at the time.
There you go.
Yeah, which was still an advantage.
Yeah.
We had a name.
Yeah,
and we had a number 1 position in the Hampton Roads area. So what we did was we started to expand. When I got there, we had a big wholesale business as well as an installation business. And the wholesale
it was as a distributor?
Yes. So I joked that the previous owner, he either got the fence job or he sold the materials to the company that got the fence job. He had that kind of control. That was starting to waver because there were some big national companies that were coming into the wholesale arena, and they were taking that part of our business away. Mm-hmm. So for us, not being able to expand to the east because the ocean was there, we started moving to the west and northwest, and we opened up in Richmond, and we opened up in Newport News at the time, now Yorktown. We opened up in Manassas. We eventually, I took on a partner who's my co-CEO now, a guy named Evan Winston, who's a superstar, and he's from Maryland. We opened up in Maryland, and then eventually opened the Custom Iron Company as well. So we evolved that way.
Was that any acquisitions, or was that strictly?
The only one that was an acquisition was in Richmond. We bought a company called Hercules Fence. The Rows have been around forever. They still are. And that's the only one we started with a base. Everything else was organic.
Okay, that's wonderful, and so diverse. I mean, from being a distributor of was it the fancy fences? The fancy fence?
Well, no. Back then, we were distributing all kinds of fencing.
Okay.
Whether it was chain link, wood, we were a pretty sizable distributor in the Hampton Roads area.
So were you sourcing outside to or were you developing?
We were sourcing, but again, that got eaten away.
Okay.
The national wholesalers grew and expanded into all the markets, and we saw our wholesale business basically get taken away.
Okay, gotcha. The right now, when you look at a company, of course, with this background, and their clients, when you are selling to the Pentagon or NASA, you certainly don't have to worry about credibility. It's pretty well established when you have that. Yet your company has been one of the longest BBB companies forever. That plays to me. Why do you need the BBB?
That's a great question. We've been part of the BBB ever since I took over back in 1990, and it's such a perfect fit for who we want to be as Hercules Fence and the perception we want to have in the community and the way that we care. We say security in every job, and it's not just a tagline. We mean it. We mean when you hire Hercules Fence, we're going to make sure that you're satisfied in the end, no matter what we have to do. And we've had jobs where we have replaced the whole fence. We didn't think that it was installed the way it should be. We replaced the whole fence, and we take that loss. And we think that credibility that we're seeking on every job that we do is so reinforced by the BBB. And so to me, it's a perfect match.
And Bud, that goes back to you and I have been talking about this over and over 380 million inquiries at BBB.org. So whether it's NASA or whatever the contracts are, or people are going to BBB.org, prove it in the numbers to see if a company's accredited. And where Jay and Hercules are going to continue to see growth is because of AI. AI is going to go after words just like on that mug right there on the table: integrity, respect, and trust. That's what people are going to SEO anymore. They're not going to Google. They're going to AI and asking, who's a fence company I can trust? If it's you and three others and you're part of the accredited business field and you're putting that in your website, our details and everything like that, you're going to come up higher than everybody else. You can't buy that on SEO.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, we're all seeing that you ask a question now, and you're bypassing Google and asking ChatGPT for the answer.
Right.
And so so again, to reinforce that, I just feel like for us, the Better Business Bureau makes perfect sense for who Hercules Fence is.
And it goes along with your community work as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. We are big believers in giving back to the community.
Well, we've talked all around the business. We haven't talked about the definition of the business. So when we say, for those who are not familiar with all of the realms of Hercules Fence, you guys do so much in so many diverse areas. Why don't you just give a brief idea of just where you stand in each one of those areas? Okay.
Well, let me go back to my partner, Evan. So Evan Winston got involved in 1995, and he started as a salesperson and ended up opening up our Richmond office for us in 97, and then moved back to Maryland. And he's really one of the most ambitious and talented people in the fence industry, truly. And so he brought us into the area of high security, which after 9/11 became paramount throughout the whole country. This idea of perimeter security from a fencing standpoint.
And both residential and commercial?
Well, it's called Hercules High Security, and it's things like wedge barriers and pop-up bollards and
so B2B.
Yes, camera systems and the whole thing. And we'll do that anywhere in the country. So Hercules High Security will go anywhere in the country and does go anywhere in the country. At the same time, we also started, Evan got us into the Hercules Custom Iron. We opened that in 2006, and we can make anything. We just moved into a brand new facility in Frederick, Maryland, that's 50,000 square feet. It gives us room to grow. We are growing that business, and they can make anything. So right now, DC is building the Purple Line, a new metro line, and we're doing all the subway stations through Hercules Custom Iron, all the railings at those stations.
That's a huge difference in expertise for fabrication, though. I mean, where do you get that overnight?
That's a great question. So we did buy a small custom iron company back in 2006, maybe had 5 welders, and it has since grown to there's 80 employees. We have 20 welders, and like I was saying before, when you create a winning team, people want to be part of it.
Absolutely.
So we're able to attract welders and salespeople and administrative people because Hercules Custom Iron it's exciting, and it's in a beautiful facility now, and they can make anything. It's so creative and exciting, so people want to be part of it. So it's a stressful business. The fence business, we're buying pipe, we're buying wood that's manufactured for us, and we're installing it in the ground. And it has its complications.
Of course.
But nothing like measuring to the 1/16th of an inch or 2 millimeters and making something that has to be perfect when you take it out in the field.
Higher expectations.
Yes.
Least, right?
Yes. High cost, high demand, and it's got to be perfect. And we've been able to do that for the last 20 years.
That's great. So the residential business of fencing as we know it, the high security end, and then the fabrication end with custom.
Yes.
How do you oversee all three?
No. So the way we divide our duties, Evan's a co-CEO. So the custom iron, the high security, our Jessup Maryland fence office, and our Manassas. So all the DC area businesses report to Evan. The Richmond, Yorktown, and Norfolk offices report to me.
Okay,
so
separate P&Ls for each division.
Separate P&Ls for each division, yes. And it's been a great partnership. We've been together for 27 years, and we've yet to have our first argument, which I love my wife madly. I can't say that about the two of us.
Be truthful now.
We've had a couple spats here and there, but
Did she go to North Carolina?
No, she did not. She
Well, it wasn't Wake or anything, was it?
No. Yeah.
So of those divisions, where are you getting the most margin pressure?
Pressure or opportunity?
Well, I was thinking pressure because of the economic climate, but
yeah, it's an interesting question. I would say that 20 years ago, the margin pressures were much more extreme than today. I think that because the business environment has gotten tougher, it has shaken out some of the less efficient companies. And so there are less companies in our Maryland and Virginia markets primarily who can do all the things that we do. And so the margins have actually gotten better.
Wow.
And we find that when prices rise, that there is some elasticity in demand. We're able to raise our prices appropriately, not extremely, but as we need, given tariffs and the increase in costs.
Do you shop vendors?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and how rarely or how quickly do you actually make changes with your vendors?
We have in each one of our areas, we have 2 or 3 primary vendors, and we try to have the same relationship with them that we would want our customers to have with us. So we try to be loyal. We don't want to overpay, but we try to be, pay on time, be, nice to deal with, and show appreciation for our vendors. Because there's times when we ask them to come through for us,
right,
whether we made a mistake and we need something shipped quickly, or we need, special pricing on a particular big job. Mm-hmm. We're going to go to them at times and ask for their help, and we want them to feel good about Hercules Fence. So that relationship and the way we treat them is equally as important as the way we treat our own employees.
Well, it's why you get accepted, why they will accept some negotiation, where I don't think most businesses today take that time to even try to do that. Back when I was in the business, that was your partner was the one that was actually helping you grow. The things that they could do that you certainly didn't have that capability of or didn't have the money at the time.
Right.
It's a simple change in terms, a simple change in, free goods, could I dare say that? But any of those things could help you have another location.
But you're 100% right. There were times when we first started the Maryland operation where, we needed extended terms. And we were able to get those terms, and we have a sense of loyalty to those vendors
Absolutely.
That worked with us back then.
And they to you.
Yes.
They to you.
Yep.
Because you did do that.
Yep.
Let's just go slightly oblique. Your business with government, how did you do that? Did you have like other reps, like governmental reps that represented you to government, or did you do that all internally?
I'd say in 2 ways. So first, when I first came to the business, there's a huge fence maintenance contract that serves all the bases in the Hampton Roads area. Mm-hmm. And we held that contract, not every time over the past 35 years, but a majority of the time we've held that contract. So we had a familiarity in working with the government, especially DOD, which can be challenging at times, but we knew how to do that. And then we've also parlayed that into establishing relationships. When there are trade shows where the government's going to be there, we attend them, and we've done a great job. My partner and his sales team has done a great job in the D.C. area of developing the contacts, developing the networks, and the government knows that we can get the job done.
Okay. So I'm just going to make a statement here, or actually I want to get your opinion. Is the state doing enough to protect homeowners in the situations that could occur? For instance, we have a huge problem here in the Richmond area of wetlands. Is that something that has affected you or your business, or is that something that is regulated enough where there isn't a problem?
Oh, you're gonna get me in trouble here.
No, that's what I want to do.
I'm gonna have to dodge this question. Well, in truth, it's not really. It doesn't affect us at our level. A developer that would hire us, who's building an office park or multifamily project, would be affected by the wetlands, mm-hmm. and but we're not affected by it. They get permitted or they don't get permitted, and the job either happens or it doesn't. And if it happens, then they're going to put their fence needs out to bid, and we're going to bid on it. And so I'd say we're down the chain when it comes to those concerns.
Okay. Just the process right now for folks that are thinking have a new residence or they're getting ready to do fencing. What are the questions should they ask a fence company?
Well, the first thing that they should determine for themselves is what they need. Do they want privacy? They have a pool and they want privacy. Do they have a beautiful view of wetlands behind their house?
Right,
and they want to be able to keep their view. So do they want, an ornamental type fence? What height do they need? Do they have a dog that, can jump or not jump, or have a little dog that needs pickets close together?
Right.
So all those considerations, and then how long are they going to be in the house? So if it's their dream home, they're going to be there for many years. They want a maintenance-free product like PVC or
all these
ornamental
technologies that you
aluminum.
have at your disposal. I mean, you have so many different ways that you can do it. The wood grain stuff, the PVC, whether it's
The
steel,
composites,
metal, aluminum, whatever that is. I mean, technology has changed so much. These gives you that creativity.
Well, and you're right. The composites and the wood grain looking PVCs, I'd say, are one of the biggest innovations in the last 5-6 years. They've been around for a while, but they're really starting to take hold, and people see how beautiful they are. And then this whole advent of the horizontal fencing has become so popular.
Right.
It has a nice contemporary look that people are really attracted to.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important as a homeowner to determine what your objective is with the fence, and then talk to a fence company like Hercules Fence that has experienced sales folks and ask the questions. Sometimes you don't even know all the questions you need to ask, and that's where having an experienced salesperson really comes into play.
And he comes out and evaluates the situation.
He or she.
Yeah, you're right. And he or she, and the development too, and the idea of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Jay, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know most of our questions, but they've been really important questions. How you developed your business. It's what we've tried to do here in Anatomy of a Business. And I really thank you for being so right on with the answers. And I'm sorry about answering that or asking that question about the state.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't think you got me in trouble. But I've really enjoyed this. It's been
You
great.
handled it well. You
One of my
go to politics.
the two favorite things I have to talk about in life are my kids and grandkids and Hercules Fence Company. So
There you go. Well, you want to say anything about the grandkids?
They're off the charts. I mean, anybody who's a grandparent knows it's just the best. It really is.
Thank you for being here, Jay. I so appreciate it. Folks, you've listened to Anatomy of a Business. We're going to be here again next week with Barry. Thanks for listening to us and being part of the BBB ecology, the things that we are. And until next week, I'm Bud Myers. Bye-bye.